sebab.
Okay, well, I want to welcome you to this awesome live today, and we're so glad that you can make it, Anon. As you probably already know, or you may already know, I'm Sharon, and I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I want you to meet Josh Cousins, if you haven't already. He's from Good Karma Business, and he'll be discussing organic Facebook strategies. Welcome, Josh.
Hey Sharon, yeah, thank you so much for having me. Very, very much appreciated, and I can't wait just to dig in for today. Just dig in and provide some value and get a few questions answered in the end. So looking forward to it.
Yes, we're excited to learn from you. So if you're on Facebook or if you're in the chat, do me a favor and type #live and where you live in the comments if you're with us right now. And if you're watching later, just do #replay with your area. I'm in Dahlonega, Georgia, which is like the North Georgia mountains. And so it's a beautiful time right now. People drive up here just to see the fall colors, the fall leaves. Actually, before we moved up here, we've only been here 3 years. Before we moved here, we used to drive up here to look at the fall leaves. So now we can just look out the window. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Josh?
I love
Where
that.
you live?
That's awesome. I'm in Spain at the moment. I'm in Spain. It's going to be 1 year in December that I've been in Spain. So pretty awesome. Love the weather because I come from the UK. I lived a little bit in Austria as well, and it's not the warmest and nicest weather in those countries. So it's nice to be in Spain.
Yeah. So here this week, or actually these couple of weeks, it's like in the 60s and 70s in the high. So it's really
Right.
great weather right now.
Yeah.
It's just a little
that's
rainy.
Nice.
Okay, so let me just get right into it so we don't spend your time any way that we don't need to. So the strategy that Josh and his partner Nikki have is a game changer. Josh is a legend when it comes to organic traffic, and he has an incredible success converting his fans into sales all organically with the free reach he gets on Facebook. He came up with a simple framework which he refers to as the RVL method, which is results, value, and lifestyle. And inside this training, you're going to learn how to use it in order to get more engagement, reach, and sales with your Facebook content. So do me a favor, and if you have a question, be sure to type in #question below so that Josh and I can address them either during or after the presentation. And so thanks for taking the time to talk with us today, Josh. Let's get started and dive in. What would you like to share with us to start out?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, first of all, so everything I do, my whole entire business is run through Facebook. So organically. So I'm not dealing with Facebook ads, business pages, or any paid advertisements at all. I basically use the bare bone features of Facebook, which is your Facebook profile and a Facebook group. And that's been what I've been using now over the last around 3 years now. Hey Arnie, hope you're doing well. I've been using that my Facebook profile for around 3 years. Can you hear me good?
Oh yeah, I got you.
You can hear me? Okay, perfect.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I've been using that's okay. So I've been using a Facebook group integrated in my business over the last 13, 14 months. And that's generated over 6 figures completely organically. And as you said, it's by following a pretty easy framework, which is the RVL method. So the RVL method stands for results, value, lifestyle. And if you look at anyone who's done well online, you're going to realize a pattern that follows. And it's usually, obviously, if you want to do well, content and posting content is going to be the main currency. And that's going to be the thing that's going to be making you grow and going to push your content out to your audience. And that's how you're going to make money. And obviously, the RVL method is probably the most used, content formula out there. So results, value, lifestyle. And pretty much how this goes is you have your results section, which is all about social proof. So if you're a coach, an anxiety coach or something like that, you can basically take the results you've given to your students or results you've had for yourself and literally post that on Facebook, and then you'll be good to go. Then we have value, which is all about just making sure that you're giving enough value to your audience, making sure that you're educating them, they're learning from you. So you're building that know like trust factor, the KLT factor. Then we have the lifestyle, which stands for the L, and that's just getting you to relate to your audience. And that's what I've been following over the last couple of years.
You like the acronyms.
Definitely
You
makes
like
it
to
a lot
shorten
easier.
things
Makes it a
down.
lot easier.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%,
it
100%.
makes it
It's so
easier.
common in this industry. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's the content formula that I've been using. Obviously, with the content, it can be difficult kind of structuring your content, but having three main pillars for your content, so results, value, lifestyle, makes it so much easier just to get consistent online, especially on Facebook, because it can be difficult posting content every single day, because the only way you're going to reach the people that you want to reach, the only way you're going to make money and build your audience up is if you're extremely consistent and persistent with the content side of things. And that does require you to just be posting every single day, pretty much whenever you have the chance to. So breaking it down into three pillars really does make it a lot easier.
Yes. Yeah, I can see that instead of it just being like this big, unmanageable thing, breaking it down. And it's just like with
Yeah.
doing micro task versus macro and breaking it down. It's the same task,
Exactly.
but just having
Yeah.
it in steps. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
that you and Nikki work together. So I wondered, what benefits do you see that you have as a business partnership instead of just going it alone?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I mean, the business partnership, I obviously wouldn't recommend everyone just jump in blindly into a business partnership, because obviously, I think in the beginning stages is great, it's fun. There's that little bit of trust, but once you start making money, I've had a business partnership before this. Um, and it didn't go as planned. As soon as you put money into the mix, people can get greedy, things don't get communicated properly, so there's that. um, Second of all is Nikki and I, we're business partners and life partners as well, so we actually met through Facebook a couple years ago. We were both affiliate marketers, we were both on Facebook, we were both posting content and whatnot, and we
Now I
just
have to ask,
met each other online.
did you try to get her as your customer? Is that how you met?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually, yeah. And and that's how it started. So there was obviously that trust of a life partner, and then just doing business with each other, it just makes it so much easier. So I think it's a really cool thing when you can have your partner on board, because like this whole online stuff, the affiliate marketing, selling programs, selling courses, just selling things online, can be a little bit hard for people to comprehend. So, I mean, I couldn't imagine myself being with someone who wouldn't really understand, because it would make it a little bit harder. And obviously having that business partnership, you can get on the phone with someone, you can say, hey, we've just had our highest grossing day today. You're on the journey with someone else. So I would recommend it to anyone who, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome, especially if you can find someone you can really relate to and they can hold you accountable and
Yeah.
all of that good stuff.
I think that's a big part of it right there, having someone that can help hold you accountable because
Yeah.
they know how hard the accountability can be.
Mm,
And also, they know what you're talking about. They get like what
exactly.
your all your acronyms are.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they actually understand what that is. I too have tried a partnership in the past, and it did not go as planned. So I have been a little shy to starting
Mm,
another one. But just recently, I've been wanting to reach out and find someone that wants to partner. A lot of times, I see that it's hard because it's hard to find a partner that is like on the same kind of level that you are.
yeah.
Either they are so advanced that they wouldn't even consider you as a
Hmm.
partner, or they are so new that you wouldn't get anything really from the partnership. It would all be
Yeah.
just a give, give, give. So it is hard to find that like balance where you're like pretty pretty level on your knowledge and
Mm.
where you want to go with things. So that's great that you guys have that partnership.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a really good point what you just said. It's either, you can partner up with someone who isn't where you are, so you're just going to be giving, 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 or someone who's just way ahead of you. And again, people who are just way ahead of you, they're busy, they have their business to run, so they might not have time for you. But I think with partnerships, it's always good, not necessarily to base it off of just monetary, the money that they're bringing in, but also things like life experience. If you're someone who's 40, 50, 60 years old, and there's a 20, 30-year-old who is doing relatively well, but they're lacking the life experience, you can come in there with that angle. So there's a few angles that you can use for sure. For sure.
Yes,
It's just obviously getting the other person to understand that point of view.
right, right. But I've noticed more in the entrepreneurial world than in any other parts of business how people, even if you're not like partners for life, a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, like you and I working right now, just helping each other to grow, helping each other in their
Mm.
business, and 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 partner up in those ways, even when it's just something small. So that's
Yeah.
something that's wonderful in the entrepreneurial space.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's something that yeah, I just think everyone should be doing it. Just reaching out. I mean, the worst thing that can happen to you is you get a no, but I'm always open to just do these sorts of things with anyone. I enjoy it. I enjoy jumping on and just talking about these things. So that's the worst thing that can happen to you is just a no. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So I'm going to step away from my questions for a minute because we've got a couple of questions in the chat. So,
awesome.
how frequently and where would you suggest posting?
Okay, so how frequently do I post on Facebook? So right now, I don't post as much on Facebook, for the sole reason that I have so many things to deal with in the back end of my business. And posting, when you make a post and you have 2, 3, 4, 500 comments to reply to, it can take a couple hours a day up. So I've decided to not do it as much, maybe 2, 3 times a week. But if you're in the beginning stages of your business right now and you're looking for the point of momentum, so where you can start making some money, you can start seeing some results in your business, I would highly recommend every day, every 2 days maximum, because the more you post, the faster you're going to get results, period. Obviously there's limits of the frequency of how much you should post. Like, I wouldn't recommend posting more than twice a day on Facebook. The reason being is whenever you post more than twice a day on Facebook can see your post as spam and they won't show it to as many people. So once a day, if you can, once a day is great. You're getting a decent amount of content out there, and it's just about building that structure just to get some momentum. Once you have some momentum, you can step back and then maybe focus on having conversations with people and making some money. So hopefully that answers the question for the frequency, but that's what I would base it off of. Yeah.
And as far as those posts, would you recommend more of your personal page, your personal profile that you're posting that to, or are you talking about in groups?
Okay, perfect. That's a really good question. So I reckon your personal profile should be your main priority. So um, I have over 500 students in my program, and I've taught every single one of them, do not put your focus in groups or in your own group until you have momentum on your profile. Now, the reason being is because a Facebook group, like if it's your own Facebook group, it can get very difficult to manage. And if you've just gotten started online, there's going to be so many metrics that you're going to be looking at. Or you might look at your group and your group's only grown 10 people in the last week. So you might be beating yourself up. And when you do that, is your focus is now split between your profile, your group, and then you might be doing something else. So your focus is just everywhere. And what I recommend is your profile first, and you stick to that until you have momentum. So momentum is, it's going to be different from person to person and business to business, but momentum would be conversations. Make sure you're having engagement, so likes, comments, and shares. Make sure you're conversating with a decent amount of people every day. Make sure you see consistency in what you're doing. Once you hit that point and you have a structure and you know what you're doing in your business when it comes to your Facebook profile, then you can move over to your own Facebook group and other Facebook groups
I can
when it
say
comes to
for
the
a
content.
fact that is something that I have seen that I've been struggling with because
Mm,
right out of the gate, I did a group for Christian women leaders. At the same time, I started um, optimizing my personal Facebook profile,
Yeah.
but so it would lean toward that group, right? And so I've got that
Yes. Yeah.
group growing, and I'm spending a lot of time there. But then I'm also getting so many messages and friend requests and trying to start all those conversations over
Mm.
into my profile that it's getting complicated. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
I was like, oh
So,
my
it,
gosh, I don't have time for anything else. I've got all these messages to, and um, it's not the hi, how are you message. It's the
mm,
let's dive into the business kind of thing. It's those
yes.
that are just so time consuming because literally you're bouncing back and forth um, a
It is
lot.
very time consuming at first. Yeah, 100%. I'm on the same page as you, and still to this day, you know, I can easily sit down for 12 hours in one day and get nothing done but talking to people and replying to comments.
Yes,
So
yes, I'm
it's
seeing
it's
that.
it's 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 very irritating. But I think how the way people should see it is like, unless you are just a marketing machine and you have something going for you, because we all see these artists, whether they're celebrities or just even people in our business, in our space, they have this ability to grow very, very quickly. And that usually comes down to their personality and to things that, makes them. But if you're just a normal person, I definitely think people should value way more the genuine connections you have with people. I've built my whole entire business to over $500,000 in the last couple years, just by messaging people on Facebook, just by genuinely wanting to know more about people on Facebook. And I've been able to grow my Facebook group to nearly 6,000 people in a year, just literally by following that simple framework, just jumping on Facebook, spending a few hours a day messaging people, nothing fancy, no crazy softwares or anything like that. So, you know,
Yeah, in the beginning, I had a goal of get all of my messages answered in one day and all the friend requests taken care of in one day. I have completely dropped that goal. That's not,
mhm.
it does not
Yeah,
even
it's not
make
going to
sense to
happen.
me anymore because they're coming in so fast and furious that I can barely keep up anymore. So
Yeah,
now
little
my
by
goal
little.
is
Mm,
a time frame instead. So instead of it being the numbers and getting them all, it's kind of like an email that you try to zero it out by the end of the day, which is just really doesn't make any sense because the second you zero it
yeah.
out, it's starting all over again. But it's kind of like that, and that's how I was thinking, and I've had to change my mindset over to instead of trying to zero it out, because then I'm really not being able to focus and spend time on the
Mm.
engagement. Just engage a few at a time.
Yes, exactly. It's all about having structure in your business. And because if you go into your business and you're like, well, I don't really know what I want to do today, and then you just think to yourself, I'm going to get all my messages done today, it's not going to happen. You know, you need to have certain times of the day where, but I mean, that's a whole different conversation because
Yeah.
there's a lot to go into that. But yeah, I mean, hopefully that answers, the frequency question and where I post. So
Yes.
mainly your Facebook profile until you have
Okay.
some momentum.
All right. Let's see. How do you drive your engagement to be high? So, okay, that's something that I have thought about too, because you put this stuff out and you think that, oh, this is great, like this is good,
Yeah.
this caught my attention, and then you get crickets. You don't get the likes, the
Yeah.
loves, the comments that you thought for sure you were going to get for that because that was just so fantastic. And it
Yeah.
usually is not even something that you came up with yourself. It's something that maybe
Yeah.
another person did and you just, repurposed it. But for them, they got all this engagement and you put it on and there's nothing. So how do you and Nikki get engagement on your post? In the beginning, I guess
Okay.
would be more important than even now.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. I mean, my engagement stems from what I did in the beginning, and I mean, my engagement now is relatively high, but that simply comes down to the fact that I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and that everything is compiled and compounded. But in the beginning stages, well, the basic rule we all know it, is if you want engagement, you need to give engagement. You give, you receive. So there's that. So it's making sure that you go on Facebook on your newsfeed and you're engaging every day. Now, I personally, right now, I don't need to engage as much as I used to. I used to engage for 2-3 hours a day. Now, wouldn't recommend that everyone does that, because people have jobs, they have kids, they have husband, wife. Don't stay on your phone for 2-3 hours. But right now, I do 15 minutes, 2 15-minute blocks. So when I'm engaging for these 15 minutes, I do it really, really, that's all I do. For 15 minutes, I don't let anything get in the way. I'm making sure I'm engaging. Now, if you have no engagement and your engagement is relatively low, what I would recommend is try to do 1 hour a day, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes in the evening. The reason why you should be doing that is because you're going to be hitting different sections of your friends list, because obviously people are waking up at different times, people are posting at different times, and you really want to engage with as many of your friends as possible. And that is probably going to take around a week to 2 weeks to even see some results. But once you've got that going, you can start refining your content, because you said you might post something that you think is good, but it will get no engagement. Now, the thing is with this, it's I've been through it as well, but I'm definitely a true believer that you got to give what your audience wants, and you've got to build up some you've got to build something up, and you've got to give people something to engage with. So what we're seeing now on Facebook is we're seeing a lot of people posting the same stuff, doing the same stuff. Everything is the same. There's emojis in posts. All the posts, they look the same format, the same paragraph. I think when you're posting, the key is to test, to be constantly testing, and to never stick to one thing. Now, if you're scrolling on Facebook and you see someone who's getting really good engagement, my best advice is just go on their profile, see what they're doing, not take their content, but like you said, repurpose content. You can repurpose content and try to mimic like the pattern that they're doing. Now, obviously there's a lot more that goes into it, like when you should post, what sort of content you should post, how you should structure your Facebook post. But again, that's a whole different story, because there's a lot that goes into that as well. But again, this can all be found out by literally looking at what other people are doing. The people who are getting really, really good engagement, they're doing something right. And there's the old saying, don't reinvent the wheel, just take what's working. And I'm a true believer in that. I've done that, pretty much my whole entire journey online. It's just when I see someone doing well, I will dissect them. I'm going to put them under a microscope, and I'm going to try to find out every single thing that they're doing. And once I figured that out, and this is exactly how I started on Facebook. I saw some people getting really good engagement, and I was like, okay, how are you doing that? And I realized that they were engaging every single day. I realized that they were posting once a day. I realized that they had a short quote one day, a longer post the next day, and maybe an image the day after. So there was a certain pattern on their timeline. So that's exactly what I would suggest. Is just 20-minute blocks, 3 times a day, and refine your content. Like if you're not getting engagement, it most likely comes down to your content. And I know it's really tough to be like, okay, well, I've tried so hard. I spent half an hour writing this post and nobody's liked it. This sucks, but you got to be honest with yourself and just be like, okay, well, this isn't what people want to see. So let me try something new, because we don't lose anything. We can change one thing to another thing in a couple days online. So yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
would suggest.
that's true. There was another question, but I feel like at this point you've already answered it. It's just talking about what things do you do to make the algorithms favor your post and put them in front of more people. But I think you've already touched on that. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, I covered some pretty good points there, but yeah, so yeah, make sure you're engaging 3 times a day, 20-minute blocks. Make sure that you're leaving a love emoji on when you react to a post. Make sure you do that, because that weighs way more in terms of the algorithm than just liking a post. When you comment on people's posts, make sure the comments are at least 2, 3, 4 words. If you have the time, I would leave meaningful comments. The reason being is because that person will most likely come back to your post and do the same for you. And once that initial connection happens, the chance of them seeing your content again go through the roof, and vice versa. So it's all about, your goal is basically to get someone who hasn't engaged on your content before to engage once, because as soon as they do it once, it's more likely that your post and your content is going to appear in their timeline again. But yeah, it's just little things like that, like very logical, like very like common sense. But just to do that, and especially in your own comment section. So when someone comments on your own post, don't just say thank you or emojis like a thumbs up emoji. Like if you have hundreds of comments, fine. But what I did in the beginning, I tried to start conversations within my comment section. So I would say, hey, Sharon, thank you so much. I'm wishing you an amazing rest of your week or weekend or whatever it may be. So I can try to get you to respond back to me, and then I can respond again. And this just bumps your engagement through the roof. So that's what I
Yes,
would
I would
recommend.
think, now I don't know, I've not heard, but I would think that the algorithms really like those type of things a lot more than the private message, right? Like the private message
Um,
does not, does it even affect, do you think, the
it
algorithm?
does. Yeah, with Facebook it does. I know there's a question when it comes to Instagram, which we'll get to, but when it comes to Facebook, absolutely, it probably weighs one of the biggest in terms of the algorithm more than anything else. So there's a pretty good analogy, right? So imagine you see me in a supermarket, and we haven't seen each other for 10 years, and then you say, "Hey, Josh, how's it going?" And I look at you, but I don't say anything, and I just walk away. Now, the next time you're going to see me in that same supermarket, you're going to do your best to avoid talking to me or even seeing me, right? You don't want to see someone who just blanked you. Facebook is the same. So if you send me a message, Sharon, and I see your message, but I don't reply, what Facebook will see, they're going to see that message as unwelcome. So they're going to see your message as unwelcome to me. So they're going to deem that relationship not important. So they won't show your content to me. But if I reply to your message, then the chance of you seeing my content and me seeing your content is much higher. Like if you guys look out for this in the future, when you start a conversation with someone, with a complete stranger you've never talked to before, a brand new friend, you talk to them, you have a little conversation, the chance of you seeing content from them and them seeing your content is super high. I
Oh,
do it every day, and then I see this person who I've just had a conversation with pop up. So
okay. I'll
Messenger,
have to,
super important.
yeah, I'll have to pay attention to that more. I have not
Yeah.
noticed that. So, as a complete newbie, what would you say is the number one tip that could give to a newbie getting started with your strategy?
Okay. Well, that is going to be focus. So being sure that you can focus on one thing at a time. Now, I'm a huge believer in that. I know it's not cookie cutter advice. I just want to give advice that's helped me the most to get to where I am. And that was definitely focus, being able to not look left or right and just believe in what I'm doing is the right thing. Because let's face it, every single way of making money out there, every single idea you've ever had has probably been thought about before by someone else. And they've probably made money from that specific thing, which is why I never understand why someone would quit affiliate marketing to do blogging, you know, because these two industries are worth billions of dollars. You know, you can make money doing it. You just have to stick to it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is just to believe in the process. Believe in what people are telling you who are getting results. So if someone is practicing what they preach, and they're getting the results that you want, and they're giving you advice, take it on board. Take it on board. Don't not be coachable and not listen and think your way is the best way. That's what I would give. I know it's not cookie cutter advice, as I said, but I know it's something that every entrepreneur in their business, once they hit the multiple, I mean, the 6-figure mark, the 7-figure mark, and then the more entrepreneurs earn, the more you realize that the focus is what they talk about. The more you realize that they use that word, the more you realize that it's not about the email software that you're using. It's not about the autoresponder, anything like that. It literally comes down to what's happening in your mind, and just being able to stay focused. So that's
Right.
what I would give for
Okay, well,
advice.
that's good. I have not heard that before.
Cool.
So let's go to the question, would Instagram be the same as Facebook, and how is that going to be the same or different?
Okay, very cool. So Instagram, I was at my first business was Instagram, and I grew pages like Russell Brunson, Dean Graziosi, and I was working with these guys for a while. But Instagram is a bit different. Now it doesn't work the same way as Facebook, and if I were to compare the two, Instagram is more of a complicated version of Facebook, basically. Now, Facebook is super simple, and if someone isn't techie and just wants to get started super quick when it comes to business, Facebook is your go-to platform. Instagram, on the other hand, works with the the Explorer tab. So once a Facebook an Instagram post goes viral, it will appear in people's Explorer tab. So this is where, you know, you go on Instagram, you go in the middle feed, you look, and then you see random posts that are related to what you like. Now, Instagram has changed a lot since I was on Instagram a couple of years ago, but pretty much the main basis of Instagram is the amount of engagement you can get within the first hour. The more engagement you can get in the first hour, you know, obviously the better you're going to do when it comes to that post, which is very similar to Facebook. But apart from that, there are a few similarities, but they're not too similar. That's a whole different story. It's much more complex. And if you can understand Instagram, you're going to be able to understand Facebook with ease, really easy.
Yeah,
But they're very
Instagram
different
is not my
platforms.
jam. I just don't quite get it. I do a little bit on it, but I don't do much on it. I stick to Facebook because it's familiar to me. I
Yeah,
started there,
yeah.
I guess,
Facebook is
and
very easy.
that's where I am. So, are there certain types of Facebook groups that you look to, or look for, or try to avoid when you're wanting to grow your engagement?
Yeah. So when it comes to Facebook groups, now, when it comes to Facebook groups, when you're getting active in a Facebook group, say you're actively posting inside of a Facebook group, I think it's important when you're doing that, it should be really genuine. So whatever you're posting about, make sure you know your industry. Okay. So say, for example, you want to help affiliate marketers make $10,000 a month. Don't say it if you haven't done it yourself. You know, there was a guy, funny story, there was a guy who was making, I'm not too sure of his name, but he was selling a course, and he made seven figures, so $1 million plus with this program. And all he taught people was to make an extra $500 a week on eBay, just an extra $500 a week. That's $2,000 a month. And that wasn't 10, 20K like everyone is saying. So I think that's the first thing right there, is when you're going into a Facebook group, don't go in there with the persona of you know more than anyone else, or that you're making more than you actually are, or just upping yourself. I think it's really important when it comes to a Facebook group, because the bigger the Facebook group, the more experts they're going to be in there. And if someone sees that you're not being ethical, that you're not leading with integrity, people can go in there and they might call you out, and then that can really damage your reputation. I've seen it again and again and again. And it's a bit, you know, in a public group. So when it comes to Facebook groups, I stay away from groups that are too small. I engage in them, but I wouldn't post in there or try to add friends from there, because it's the same thing. Think of it this way: is imagine you had your own Facebook group. You wouldn't want anyone coming in there and adding people from your group, would you? It's not the nicest thing to happen to you. So I see it the same way. So Facebook groups, I always try to look out for big groups. So around 30,000 members plus. And I make sure that they're active. So I make sure that they're growing. I would say a thousand people a month plus. And when it comes to the post in there, I would say a couple dozen a day. So that shows me that the community is active, it's growing. I can be a valued member of that community, so I can go in there and I can either interact with people, make posts in there, and then get people from that Facebook group over to my profile, then from my profile inside of my group. And the reason why I tend to go for groups that are larger, like 30,000 plus members, is because of a couple reasons. Number one is these groups are mainly run by a large corporation, a large company. So not just one single person. You know, ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson's group, Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins groups, they make tens of millions of dollars a year. Now, it's not going to hurt if you go inside of that group and then you just give value to their members. But it's a different story if someone has a group of 1,000 members and you go inside of that group and you do the same process. So that's what I would recommend when it comes to groups.
Yes, because I know that people do tend to follow where they're getting the value. So
Mm.
if you're the one giving the value, they're probably going to follow you then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. And that's a great way to, like, if you're, again, leading with integrity and authenticity inside of a Facebook group, and you're doing your job, you're helping people out, then by all means, if that can grow your business, then go for it. I know for me personally, Facebook groups over the last year have done incredibly well for my business. And I genuinely, because there's no way to tell, but I do think that like 75% of the business that has come in my business, monetary wise, has come from other groups. 100%.
Okay. All right. So, do you recommend removing people who are your actual friends and family and not prospective customers, people in your niche? Okay. So this is something that I've been hearing a lot about lately, and I know what I've been hearing, but I also know what my personal thoughts are on that. So let's
Yeah.
see what you say. You're
Okay.
the
Well,
professional.
me, me personally, I deleted everyone. I don't have a single person on my friends list except Nikki and maybe like one or two friends that I know in real life. All my family, they were gone because um, they didn't really relate to what I was doing at first. And I would get some messages coming through from them, and they were not the nicest messages. It was like in between the lines. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, I can't deal with this anymore. So I just deleted them. But I think honestly, it totally depends on how your friends and family are receiving it. What I wouldn't do is to make your Facebook post private. You always want your post on public. So if you have loads of friends on your personal profile and you don't want them on there, what you can do is you can create a new Facebook profile and move all of your friends from your main account over to your new account, and then use that main account just for business.
Yeah, I have thought about doing that. At the moment, I still have a lot of family and friends um, on my personal profile, and
Mm,
so far, no one has said anything negative or anything. But I
that's
know
good.
that it's coming, so
Get ready.
I'm gonna have to be ready with that delete. Um,
Yeah.
but it is hard because when Facebook was new and up until the last couple of years, we've all thought of Facebook as being this family friend environment,
Yeah,
and it's just really that I've heard of the last couple of years, and then just hard heard of this year. Like, get them out. They're not serving you. They don't understand what you're
exactly.
doing.
Yeah.
So it's a different
But
mindset.
yeah, exactly. I would never, think of it that way. Like I would never see it as, they don't do anything for you. They don't understand. Delete them. Get rid of them. I feel like it's the same people who look down on a 9 to 5 job. I think it's completely fine. I think if your friends and family are okay with it, then let it be. If it doesn't affect you and your ability to post, like for me, I'm very blunt in my content. I'm very truthful, and some of my family members, they just didn't enjoy that. And I'm not going to stop posting what I feel is right because you don't think what I'm doing is right. So I'm just going to remove you. Obviously I'm still in touch with them, but I think it all comes down to how you feel inside, how you
That's
feel
true.
inside.
You know what, Josh? I have not even thought about that. But the people that we have in our group, when it is our close family and friends, can affect what we're
Mm,
posting, because we don't want to
yeah.
offend or irritate or even be
Mm,
thought differently of. I had
yeah.
not even thought about that. So,
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good thought to keep in mind, because when it hits you, when you're like, when you have to think about what you're going to post before clicking a post button, then that's when you know you're going to have to take action. That's when you know you're going to have to move some things around, because it hinders your growth when it comes to your business.
yeah, okay. All right, so there's a question here. Should you post only about RVL relating to your business and not about any other aspect of your life?
Mm, okay, so I break it down again. So the results value lifestyle method. So results, you want that directly related to your business, to whatever you're selling. So I personally help people grow and scale on Facebook organically. So everything I'm going to post when it comes to results is going to be directly related to Facebook, like my engagement that I'm getting or the money I've made from Facebook. Then we have value. Again, value is going to be directly related to your business. You're not going to give yoga tips to your audience if you're an affiliate marketer, right? Like whatever business and industry you're in, make sure that the value you're giving to your audience is directly correlating to whatever you're doing. So if you're in affiliate marketing, maybe you've read a book, you watched a video and you had an epiphany, or you had something come in your mind and you have something to post about that's directly correlated to that, then do so. Then we have lifestyle, which should be related to your business. You know, lifestyle is that part of this method that makes you a more relatable human being. Like you know, I don't know, you took your dog out for a walk, or like for
It
me,
shows that you're human.
exactly. And honestly, it's really overlooked, and I overlooked it in the first 6, 7, 8 months of my business. There was only 1 or 2 photos of myself on my Facebook profile, and I had so many people asking me if I was a real person. Then I met Nikki, my partner, and then obviously she kind of made me realize that I need to show more of myself. I need to show more of my face, because we are personal brands. On Facebook, we are the brand, and you want people to look at you and to follow you and to know who you are, right? So I think that's super important. But the first 2, RV, related to your business, lifestyle, anything that you feel comfortable about posting, whether that's a book you read or a picnic you went on to, it could be anything.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I know
Awesome.
that there's a lady that teaches the 5. Jenna JK5. She teaches doing 5, and she teaches doing them in a specific pattern. Like you're always going to keep that pattern. So
Yes.
it is important to have your personal life to a point posted, because otherwise it's like you said, they're going to be like, well, they're not even real
Mm-hmm.
people. All they do is
Yeah.
work all the time. I have a life. Yeah,
Exactly.
so I can
Exactly.
see that. Yeah. Okay, so any more questions for Josh? Let's see. At what point does it become unsustainable to go in every day chatting with them in Messenger?
I don't think it will never become unsustainable, because if you are consistently having conversations in Messenger, you will be consistently making money, and you will be consistently being able to pay your bills and your rent. Like if you can have 25 conversations a day, this is like the 25-day conversation a day rule. If you can talk to 25 different people a day, you should be making 5 figures a month. 100%. It's a lot of people, and that's exactly what I did in the beginning stages of my business. But it only becomes unsustainable when you're talking to so many people and when you're getting ready to scale. So maybe you're making $10,000 a month, you know, in your business, and you want to bring that up to $30,000 a month. That's not going to happen being stuck in Messenger. And that's the transition that I'm having to go through right now. And I'm realizing that, because it can take up a lot of your time. But until you get to that point, don't worry about it.
Right. Yeah. Okay, and what kind of content works best for you? Video, text, long form, or crisp with links without links? Okay.
Okay, so the content. So me personally, it is my long form content. That has done the best for me personally. But when it comes to the algorithm, I would say photos, especially the 3D photos. I've never used it, but there's that feature where you can do the 3D photos. They do extremely well.
I did one the
But
other day just because people have been talking about it and people are
awesome,
commenting and liking it. And I'm like, what? It's just a
yeah.
tree.
Facebook pushes it up. Facebook pushes it up because
Yeah.
it's a new yeah, that's pretty cool. I videos they don't do well. Live videos can, but live videos, you need to be engaging in that live video. For example, if you turn up to a live video and you just talk and you don't address your audience, then it's not going to do well, obviously. So you need to have a certain skill when it comes to being on camera. But short form content, photos, and, you know, in images, 3D photos, they are the 2 best forms of content. And when it comes to links, I would never post a link in your post, because once you do that, Facebook will limit the reach automatically because they want people to stay on Facebook, because the more we stay on Facebook, the more money Facebook makes, because the
So you're
more
talking
ads we
about
see on Facebook.
links that take them out of Facebook.
Yeah, even groups, even group links, for some weird reason, I think it's just like a universal thing with the algorithm and Facebook, where if there's a link in there, they cut the reach quite a bit.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, do you do the hook story offer method, which is Russell's?
Okay, so yeah, the hook story offer method. Um, I've never followed it to a T. Now, I've never looked into it, but I have used it. Yes. So, hooking people in, like I've done it with my Facebook post, for example. I haven't done it with like a webinar or anything crazy like that. Just like a simple Facebook post. Now, I've done that and I still do that quite a lot. And you can check my profile out and you'll see. And I do hook people in. I do go through a little story and then I give them an offer. And if you can build your Facebook profile up to a good point where there's momentum, you can use that exact strategy and you can make so much money, so much money just by doing that. I've done a couple posts over the last couple months for a program that I have, and those couple posts combined have probably brought in $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and this is up for $100 product. So you can see the potential of the hook story offer method tied into your Facebook profile. So I would definitely, obviously, do it for sure.
So, how important are the Facebook stories, in your opinion, for beginners and newbies? So, doing stories, I think they're important, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think they are important. I think they are important. I personally use mine as a place. I don't use mine a lot, but when I do use it, I usually post up like some jokes on there. Something that I might find funny on Instagram or online, and I laugh at it, so I post it up. That's how I use mine. And again, there's that. I think you should use stories as an extra layer to connect with your audience. For me, I've been able to make fantastic connections because I have the same sense of humor as someone else on Facebook, which is always great to find out. So, but Nikki, from my partner, she uses stories a lot. Video, talking to the camera, letting people know about certain updates, sharing people into our life. So it works all different ways, but it is important. It is important.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I've just recently started using stories. I've got some friends that use them,
Awesome.
and it's like, oh my goodness, I need to jump on this.
Yeah.
All right, so we don't have any more questions, and I think it's a good time to go ahead and wrap up. Tell me, how can we find you and Nikki?
Well, you guys can find us in our Facebook group. So Good Karma Business. That's our Facebook group. You guys can head over there and jump in. And basically in that group, we break down everything when it comes to Facebook. So some things I wasn't able to cover in the call, but there are many things that we outline in the group that you can really learn off of. So Good Karma Business.
Okay, Good Karma Business. All right, well, thank you so much
Awesome.
for your time, Josh. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in as well. Very, very much appreciate. Awesome questions, and yeah, it was great. It was a great time being with you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming in.
Bye bye. You take care, guys. Bye bye.